So I picked up a pair of Telemark bindings.
Man, he's spot on, Terry.
He is.
Android instead of an iPhone.
We're just sitting here watching Matt's Lion on Instagram on why people telemark ski. So welcome to a What's Telemark Skiing Wednesday, and I'm joined by Terry, one of our good sales team downstairs. So this is not unfamiliar gear to you, right?
No, so I used to tele, but I kind of gave that up. But I'm kind of curious as why do you tele?
Back in the 90s, I was living in Montana, and there was a run that was inaccessible after a big snowfall because the lead-in was too flat. You would ride a chairlift up to the top, and there was a couple of guys coming in at flats, and they got onto that wide open powder run on tele skis because they could tour in. And on the chair, I remember them dropping down into the snow, and the only thing you could see was the top of their hats. We didn't wear helmets back then.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then they came up, and they had these big powdery grins on their face, and I thought to myself, someday I want to do that.
Okay.
So back in '96, I invested in the gear, and I've been pretty much a free healer, drop the near, whatever you want to call us, since. So why did you stop tele skiing?
So a lot of my friends were tele skiers, but they were so good that I couldn't keep up with them. So I decided to go to AT, Alpine Touring, and then I was able to stay with them.
So when I was younger, I was able to do this in pretty much all conditions and all situations.
Right.
The older I get and the less time I get to spend in the mountains. I'm a Midwest telemark skier, 100% of the time at Cabernet.
Right. Okay.
But on our big trips, I've moved over to Alpine Touring as well. Because I think both of you and I love powder. We love the freedom and the side country and the back country. And so either one of these gives you an element to do that. And that was the other reason I got into this, is I really did want to learn how to climb, ski away from the lifts, and access fresh snow. So whatever your reasons are, there's a couple of systems out there that kind of compete with each other, and we're going to cover that today. So the original tele ski system consisted of something we call a 75 millimeter system. So this is probably pretty similar to what you were using.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if you were an old school cross country skier, you recognize a duckbill on the boot, and the duckbill fits into the binding, and the heel comes up, and you're able to articulate off through the boot, right?
Correct, right.
So I still feel that gives a more natural feel to the boot and the ski interaction.
Yeah, I agree, totally.
It's quite light, so for carrying this stuff around and for climbing, I think it's pretty awesome. And I find that I can do a deeper bend, a more natural telemark turn with it, which I do like the way the turn looks and feels, especially on hard pack. So I'm going to always probably stick with a 75 millimeter system.
Okay.
Alternatively is something newer, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is, somewhere around there.
Right.
The bindings look substantially different, and the boot is flexed a little bit differently, and you grab a hold of the boot under the center of the sole. So you're not bending off the toe as much on here. You're really driving through the forefoot of it.
Right.
So advantages to this system are?
The advantage of that system is this: you're going to have a little bit more control. You don't need to go as deep. You can actually do some parallel turns without doing any tele stuff.
A lot more power into the ski.
Exactly.
So as skis evolved and got wider and bigger, and people were driving big powder skis out west and whatnot, I think this system really sort of evolved with that mentality. So very popular, great edge control.
Right.
So, but overall, the feel of the system is different, and it's heavier. Like when you're carrying a ski, it feels more like carrying a pair of alpine skis, right? And I don't want to do that. I'm a tele skier. I'm not an alpine skier. Are you crazy? Right? So maybe you guys have tried either system, or maybe you have an opinion on one or the other. If you haven't, and you're living in the Midwest and Michigan especially, I would always suggest starting with the 75 millimeter system. Scarpa and Scott still make boots for that. 22 designs,
great
killing
binding.
it in the 75 mil binding system. But then they also came out with the Onyx, which is a killer TN system that's been pretty popular as well. So not releasable. None of this stuff really releases. So
I think this
might
have a
release off, which is again another advantage of that. You will not release out of this. However, I have crashed billions of times and I've gotten twisted up or tied up on my tele stuff. So a lot of times people come in and they're like, well, where's your tele skis? How do you answer that?
Any flat all mountain ski should work.
Yep. So I feel there's a couple of winners, and we've got a couple of options from Solomon sitting in front of us to sort of differentiate that. Someone who's newer to the sport, a little bit lighter, maybe not as aggressive, I like putting them in a ski that doesn't really have any metal in it. So we've got the QSTs from Solomon over here, about 90 millimeters underfoot, a little bit lighter weight, a little softer full flex, which makes a really nice feeling tele turn, doesn't it?
It does, and you can ski out west on that ski too.
Yep, you put a skin on that, it's lightweight, it goes uphill really well. So kind of a fun setup for what we would consider Midwest tele right over here, or uphill tele as well. On the other side, we've got the Solomon Stance. That's a good example of a metal laminate ski, right? Yeah. So damper, stiffer, edgier.
Correct, yeah, especially if you want to do a lot of quick turns on them.
So I've actually converted away for my front side Midwest skiing to a metal ski. I actually ski the Stance. Because I love getting down into that hard turn and having that ski pop back and being able to hold an edge on ice, which is something that we have here in the Midwest quite a bit too. So I use this system with that ski, so you can see how it mixes and matches. There aren't really any true Telemark ski companies anymore. K2 has some skis. I think they market more.
There's a Scotty Bob.
Scotty Bob's, I know. Sure, they're still around.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, they were a weird
2.0 used to be a Telemark company.
Right.
I have a pair of those hanging in the garage. Love them, but I blew the sidewall on those.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of skis. Carhu, Outbound.
Okay.
That was sort of the revolutionary ski back in the day. And we started with leather. And the old Radafella or Rainy Loops or some of the original bindings out there. A lot of fun, a lot of history, a lot of goofy stuff in this culture. If you're at all curious, come on in and talk to us. It's hard to find demo gear. You kind of have to commit to it. It isn't inexpensive. So there are some barriers to getting out and getting started with this stuff. But man, I can tell you from experience, it's super fun.
Great. Yeah.
And just watch Maddie's little video there. He kind of sums it all up. He's sort of making fun of us, but he sums it all up. It's a cool turn. It's a spiritual turn. It's a neat community. And we're lucky to have a bunch of us here in the Midwest. So thanks for tuning in on What's a Telemark Wednesday. Until next week, we'll see you all later.
Thank you.